Paticcasamuppada, dependent origination, talk number 21. Experiential understanding of the true nature of mind and matter is Vipassana insight. Amongst all the insight, the first most important one is seeing arising and passing away of objects. Experiential understanding of the cessation of mind and matter is path wisdom. Seeing, knowing the end or the ending of the arising and passing away. It's said in the scripture, a moment of seeing arising and passing away of mind and matter eliminates a moment of kilesa, and living a day seeing mind and matter arising and passing away is far superior than living 100 years without that experience and knowledge. To have experiential understanding, one must observe the 5 aggregates to gain insight into their true nature. And that is Vipassana, observing 5 aggregates with the intention or purpose of seeing their true nature is Vipassana. One can observe whatever object that is most prominent and dominant at the present moment. So let's see the observation in terms of consciousness. There are no two consciousness, two types of consciousness can arise at the same time. It always arises one consciousness at a time. The passing away of a consciousness is the cause for the arising of another consciousness. As arising and passing away of a series of consciousness take place at an incomprehensible speed, so one tends to think or believe that it is one and the same consciousness. So it's difficult to see consciousness by consciousness. So for practical purpose, we observe the 5 physical sense consciousness and a thought process or thinking consciousness. In terms of consciousness, that's what we pick to observe because that is observable. 5 sense consciousness mean seeing consciousness at the moment of seeing, hearing consciousness, smelling consciousness, tasting consciousness, and touching consciousness. The 6th one is, of course, thinking consciousness, or a thought process. Those are observable. So we pick those and observed if we want to observe consciousness. Basically, Vipassana, mindfulness of the mind. Observing the preceding 5 sense consciousness or thinking consciousness with the succeeding consciousness is Vipassana. You are doing Vipassana correctly. What it is the preceding one of the 5 consciousness, sense consciousness or thinking consciousness. One of them, whichever one it is. And observing that one with the succeeding consciousness. Ability to observe consciousness with the consciousness. Succeeding consciousness, if you want to give a name, mindful consciousness. That is Vipassana. Observing and knowing the passing away of the preceding consciousness. Observing and knowing the passing away of the preceding consciousness is Vipassana insight. Vipassana jnana. Vipassana insight. At that precise moment, there is no mental defilements, no kilesa. If you can do that correctly, you are away from kilesa at that moment. Okay, let's build up a scenario, a condition to discuss about this. Let's say you see food and then desire or wanting to eat arises. Wanting to eat. Let's call this consciousness number 1. The first consciousness. And knowing of that wanting to eat. There's wanting to eat, and right away you know that you want to eat. Full awareness. Let's call that a second consciousness. Knowing of that wanting to eat. Wanting to is first consciousness. Knowing of that wanting to eat is the second consciousness. At the arising of the second consciousness, the first consciousness is dead or have passed away. When you are in the mode of the second consciousness, the first consciousness is dead or passed away. If one sees or knows the death of the first consciousness, you must observe it, you must see it, you must know it, the death of the first consciousness. If you can see that, craving, grasping, Tanha Padana cannot arise or follow. But if one doesn't see the depth of the first consciousness, in other words, not aware the ending, the death, the passing away of the first consciousness, At that moment, one is behind the curtain of ignorance. And under the influence of ignorance, under the influence of that ignorance, one began to engage in three kinds of activities: physical, mental, and verbal activities. You're engaging under the influence of ignorance. That is karma bhava, life action, or sankhara, volitional activities. Engage in three activities, karma bhava, and sankhara, and it is guided by craving, influenced by ignorance, and is guided by craving. That's what happens if one is not aware of the cessation of the passing away of the first consciousness, the death of the first consciousness. So, you can see the operational pattern. And the same thing I'll try and present in a different way. At one moment, okay, you see the food. At one moment, one is alive with wanting to eat. You're alive with the desire of wanting to eat. In other words, that is consciousness with craving and ignorance. You are alive with wanting to eat, meaning you are alive with consciousness of craving and ignorance. When that consciousness ceased, one become alive with the action of gleefully eating. One become alive with the action of gleefully eating. That means you are alive with the consciousness of life action, karma bhava. Everything is consciousness, but we just put the description of the events and conditions. So that is one scenario. You see the food, you want to eat the food, that's consciousness with craving and ignorance. And after that, you just gobble it up. That is, you are alive with the consciousness of life action. Let's take another alternate path for the same thing. See the food. One is alive with wanting to eat. That's a craving consciousness. But this time, that person is observing, noting, mindful. By observing, one knows that there was a desire of wanting to eat. At that moment, one is alive with consciousness with insight, consciousness with wisdom. Just different consciousness arises. One is you are not aware of it, and the consciousness that arises that follow is consciousness with life action or volitional activities. Another one is mindful. At that moment, the type of consciousness that arises or that follows is consciousness with insight or wisdom. It changes what kind of consciousness will arise based on your being mindful or not mindful. And if one sees or know the passing away of the preceding consciousness, that's wanting to eat. If you see and if you know passing away of the preceding consciousness, you are understanding anicca, impermanence. All these things we already know, but we are trying to make a point to sink deeper into an understanding so that we can apply directly in our daily life or in deep meditation as well. So with that, we'll talk a story of hermit Susima. Hermit Susima. At the time of Buddha, when we say story, this is a real event. So at the time of Buddha, the Buddha got enlightened and he went around and teaching anybody and everybody who is interested in his teaching. And the followers grows and grows. But let me use the modern day words. There are many other religious teachers too, not only the Buddha. They have their own Dhamma, their own take. But what happened was, the market as a whole, whenever it shifts around to one side, this side lose. They are in the same pool system and people follow Buddhas, so you take away the market of the other religious teachers. So they are beginning to lose their followers. So what happened was, there are many of course, but 6 different religious sects or different philosophical approach to life. There are 6 different groups. They all get together because everybody is suffering. It's not just from one. So they all get together, all the heads of the 6 religious group, and put their heads together. Okay, we are losing our followers. What should we do? And then I guess they say, well, I think our teachings are becoming stale, and if you can freshen it up, it will be great. And as Buddha's teaching is quite popular, probably we could go and get some Buddha's teachings and incorporate it into a system appropriately and make it our own. So everybody said, that's a good idea. So how do we do it? Who will do it? So they look around among themselves, and there's one religious leader, a hermit Susima, because he is the smartest and the brightest among them, very sharp, very intelligent. So they elected him. And then, okay, you go to the Buddha basically go steal some Dhamma so that we can use for us to grow and become popular. So they sent him to the Buddha. Susima went to the Buddha, and then he asked for ordination. I would like to be ordained. So once you got ordained, he believes that he will have an inside track to what is happening in the Buddha's ministry. So the Buddha looked at Susima, who was asking for ordination, and the Buddha knew that he came here to steal Dhamma with his psychical power. But Buddha also knew that this Susima has enough parami for attainment, for liberation. Now, this guy has enough parami. So, the Buddha said, okay, go get ordained. And Susima ordained and stay with a crowd of monks, bhikkhus. And they have to be during the Vasa rain retreat, 3 months. All the monks stay in their own places and practice and practice. At the end of the rain retreat, which is about after the full moon of October, okay, a group of monks, let's say 30 of them, because they live in a group that is not too big, not too small to travel around as a group. 30 of them went to the Buddha and pay respect. They are going to take leave from the Buddha, pay respect. And then all of them reported to the Buddha that they have completed the function of a bhikkhu. They have completed the function of a bhikkhu. What that means is they have abandoned all mental defilements and became Arahant. That's their last life, became Arahant. That's what it means. And of course the Buddha says sadhu, 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 and let them go. They go to different places, and their job is, after Vasa, they go different places, spread their group around, and then go around and teach Buddha's teaching to whoever who wants to listen and learn. And Susima heard, oh, these 30 monks have accomplished their function. So if I follow them, I can get their techniques, and then I can copy them and go back to my group and deliver. So he went with these 30 monks at the beginning. And to make the long story short, he asked them, because this is his perception of Arahant, he asked them, Bhante, can you fly in the air? The monks say, no. Can you go through the mountains? The monks say, no. But I thought you said to the Buddha you are an Arahant. Yes, we are an Arahant. But we attained Arahantship with Vipassana insight. This is our attainment. We attain Arahantship with Vipassana insight. By knowing the preceding consciousness with the succeeding consciousness firmly. Chaitanya Vipassana. In other words, they know the passing away of every consciousness, cessation of consciousness. Firmly, that means not here and there. They are totally, fully aware of it. So that's the answer of these 30 bhikkhus to him. And he was confused. So what he did was he went back to the Buddha. Okay, these monks, they don't know what they are talking. He went back to the Buddha and then asked again to explain. These monks said they have attained through Vipassana insight, Arahantship. What does it mean? I don't understand. So the Buddha answered, attainment, these monks' attainment is by way of Vipassana insight, followed by path wisdom. First of all, you develop or achieve Vipassana insight, and that eventually is followed by path wisdom. Mega jnana or mega citta, path consciousness, path wisdom. Explained that way and instructed Suzima to go and practice. Observe the arising and passing away of any prominent object at the present moment. That's the instruction. So Suzima, he wanted to know, so he went there and practiced. Just observe any object at the present moment which is prominent. If you want to know the answer firsthand, okay, explain, but if you want to know the answer firsthand, go practice. So he went and practiced. As he went and practiced, eventually he became Arahant. In other words, he has overcome all mental defilements, craving, grasping. So once he became Arahant, he was so happy and excited. He went to the Buddha and paid respect and offered gratitude. And at that time, Buddha asked, "Can you fly in the air?" Suzima said, "No." "Can you go through the mountain?" And Suzima answered, "No, Bhante." So, see, the monks that you followed are called pure Vipassana Arahant. Those who attain liberation by way of Vipassana insight, followed by path wisdom, without any jhana. Only if you attain jhana and develop jhana to get psychical power, you can fly, or you can go through mountains or walk on water. So, that was the story of Suzima, pure Vipassana Arahant. Without jhana, one can become Arahant by practicing pure Vipassana. And in here, there's something we should be careful or take note of. One might have a sufficient Dhamma parami to get enlightened, but requires to meet with a good and competent teacher to guide you through, and the right environment to live in. to accomplish the task. But if you don't meet a competent teacher and falls or live in the wrong environment, even though you have a full power may to get enlightened, you will miss the boat. You will miss the boat to Nibbana and prolong eons and eons of years in this samsara, the cycle of birth and death. May all of you be able to practice Satipatthana Vipassana, and may you be able to attain pure Vipassana Arahantship through your ardent practice with commitment as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.